Hello everyone, so this is LobsterCan from the Adopt a Tomato Discord server, and this will be the first video in hopefully what will be a series of gameplay analyses on high tier games that I play. Today I'm going to be playing the USS Montana, and this replay I get 7 kills at about 220,000 damage. So right at the start of the match, what we're talking about in the chat is which which area to push. And because this is Islands of Ice, we usually push the south area, where C would normally be, because the area in the north, A, is too far out of the fight, and it puts you out of the fight for about half the game. So on the top left, you can see my build. I run a fairly standard concealment tank build with fire prevention and basics of survivability. You could swap some of these options out, so fire prevention could be replaced with AFT if you really hate planes. And you could also replace BOS with Vigilance or potentially BFT. Again, depending on how much you dislike planes. I'm also running Priority Target. I don't think it's just a cruiser thing. It's really helpful in battleships as well to tell you when you're taking too much damage. For modules, I run Main Battery Survivability, Reduced Fire Chance, Increased AA range because every other module in the tier 3, the 3 slot is useless. Rudder Shift, although the one that reduces fire duration could also be a good choice. Concealment, which you should run on all US battleships, and then finally main battery accuracy. And the reason I take that over the DPM module is because generally American battleships play from stealth, so that first salvo should be really devastating, and by increasing your accuracy on that one, it's more important than increasing the time you can take your second shot. So here I'm briefly plane spotted, and any moment now there should be a destroyer showing up in the middle, and you'll often see a destroyer spotting the mid. Oh, and I go unspotted.
Enemy force sighted on the horizon. Concentrate fire on the enemy warship.
And by the way, this replay pretty much gets interesting in the last 3.5 minutes. Like, really interesting. The beginning part, for the first 12 minutes or so, are fairly standard battleship play examples. But you're not gonna. It's not incredibly interesting, and this is typical of high tier. When people ask how to get their win rate better, my usual advice is the best thing to do is to stay alive. And what you're going to be seeing is me doing a lot of that, staying alive until the end game, when you can actually influence the outcome really massively. Oh, there's a destroyer I was talking about. When you see a destroyer, you should always take a shot. And because I shot him, I now have taken a shot from, I think, the Atago. But a single fire is never going to hurt a tier 10 battleship. And now while I'm reloading, I'm trying to decide who to shoot at next. The Alabama is showing me quite a bit of broadside, and also the Bismarck. But you've got to think about it before you take the shot. And now I notice that the Atago is actually probably going to make it a turn.
All stations requesting fire support.
Like I said, when you're playing high-tier American battleships, it's okay to take time between your shots. There we are. The Atago turns perfectly broadside because he's trying to get away, and I take the shot. And there we have a full health deletion. It's partially luck, but that was also waiting for the right moment to shoot.
Concentrate fire on the enemy warship.
Bismarck slowly reversing. Always looking at different targets, trying to figure out who's showing the most broadside and sailing in the most predictable course. I get rewarded with a nice, very solid 11,000 damage. Here I take a shot at Des Moines, but I kind of overestimate or underestimate how much he's going to turn. And I guess I should have predicted that he was going to turn into my shots to try to angle against me, but these shots entirely miss. Now, if you're paying more attention to the map than I was at the time, a few things have happened now. Our Moskva, Cyborg Chris, went AFK at this point, and he's actually been able to put his ship into reverse to keep it alive. Also, the two ships that went north did not have a good time. The Des Moines is dead, and the enemy are going to kill the Shimikaze and push into the base from there. Now, I've pushed quite far up. I'm the second most advanced ship on this flank. But it's at this point that I'm starting to realize that there's a Yu Yang in that smoke screen, and I don't want to be up against a destroyer alone, because the Montana is not a maneuverable ship. So I'm turning around and trying to retreat. And as you can see, perfect timing. Torpedoes do in fact just miss me. So at this stage of the game, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a bit of a push, but you don't want to be too aggressive, because as you can see, my entire team's bunched up in the I-7 area. And although I tried pushing here, this is clearly not the best place because of the destroyer. So instead I'm going to turn around and go straight to the center of where C normally would be. Take some fire from Bismarck, but you really don't need to respect Bismarcks very much when you're in Montana, because their guns are very small and quite inaccurate. Take a quick snapshot of the Alabama. And that's a lot of bounces, so you can see I probably aimed too low when I was taking that shot and hit the main belt armor, which is a shame. Now you can see that the Bismarck there is role-playing as a Des Moines by basically island hunting. But when I see a Conqueror showing that much broadside, I really hate Conquerors, so I take the shot there. Knocked out a turret, which is not uncommon with Conquerors because of the flat turret face.
Torpedoes deployed. Torpedoes deployed.
And now I target Bismarck because the Conqueror is not as good a target anymore.
Penetration.
And so I hope what you've seen so far is that I played very cautiously, but have managed to get a kill and done a significant amount of damage already while losing basically no health doing it, which is pretty much exactly where you want to be mid-game. I can see that my priority target's saying 3 targeting me, and this is where I make a pretty big mistake. Cyborg is asking for help at the base, so I've decided to turn around and help him, and I don't give enough respect to how accurate the Alabama is. And there goes all my health, 36,000 damage. You can also see that I don't heal, because those were mostly citadels, so I can't actually repair a large amount of damage. Now that I'm being set on fire though, I'll be able to repair soon, and actually get the full use out of that heal. I quickly throw up a fighter just to see if there are any torpedoes coming towards me, and try to spot that Alabama again. And I make another mistake because I'm not well enough angled, and the Alabama in fact does another 22,000 damage. So in about less than a minute, I just took 3/4 of my health and damage almost. That was a massive mistake. But I will recover from this. Now I quickly see a Minotaur. Cyborg was still asking for help here, and the Minotaur is reversing broadside. This is no fault of his own. He's trying to angle against the Moskva, but he can't angle against everything, and I used the opportunity to get a crossfire. At the same time, Kozaro's also laying a smoke screen because I was asking for help here. And I'm just going to sail through the smoke screen and use it to cover me from the Conqueror in Alabama. My old friend in the Kagero shows up. One funny thing about this replay was that every ship I damaged, I killed. And spoiler alert, I don't kill the Kagero. My shooting at destroyers was not really that good. So as you can see, the ships behind me, the Bismarck and the Des Moines, are still trying to secure me. They're firing some AP at me, but AP against an angled Montana is going to do basically no damage. At this point, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to retreat while getting some heals off and basically just get some health back. And also wait for the Kagero to die because he's spotting me, and there's an Alabama at mid-range, so I can't turn around without risking getting killed. That guy's already proved he knows how to shoot. I'm just waiting for the Kagero to die, basically. And Cyborg's going to push into the middle of the cap. He's waiting for his radar to come off cooldown, so he can kill the Kagero for me. And I think this is... Back in the days when I started playing battleships, I often wondered if I needed to use Superintendent if I was using premium consumables, because you already have 4 uses. And it's unusual to use 5, but the reason I still run it is because it lets me repair fires without caring at all about using that heal. It also... The games where you use all 5 heals are absolutely massive games. And then finally, as you get to be a better battleship player, you start to do things like what I'm doing here, which is disengaging so you can get some health back. It's not a crime to play passively for 3 minutes so you can actually stay alive and take more damage. And in this game, I take pretty close to the max amount of damage I could possibly do, just in the range of 170,000, 180,000 damage. And that's a primary role of high-tier battleships, is taking damage in a controlled way. People who talk about YOLOing in and brawling targets in the caps in your battleships and thinking that that's good play are mistaken, because basically, I saw this really well summarized by a guy on Reddit. If you trade in a 1v1 early in the game, you've just traded for pretty much the worst player on the enemy team, and you can only expect to have a win rate that's as good as he does. But if you stay alive until the end game, you'll probably do more damage on average, get more kills, and also have a chance to impact that end game, which is what we're in now. We're into the end game. And pretty funny fact, all 5 ships that are left alive are going to get killed by me in about 3.5 minutes total. So here I line up a shot against the Bismarck. I didn't actually think that those shots were going to hit, but I just took a shot because I could. But I zoom in and they actually hit really well. And at this point he's a very low health target, an easy kill. Cyborg's trying to roleplay as a battleship here. Moskva's well armored, but it can be overmatched from the front, and he's being focused by 3 battleships. So his death was pretty much a foregone conclusion here. Now I'm taking the shot to try to secure the kill on that Bismarck. And I also asked Kozaro for smoke here, because I was concerned about the fact that I was pushing into 3 ships, or 4 ships and an aircraft carrier. And I did assume I was going to get damaged quite badly. I do kill the Bismarck though, so now it's me versus 3 surface ships. But one of them's a Des Moines, and because I only have 1 heal left, I'm pretty concerned about getting set on fire. That could be the end. If I got set on fire, had to repair, and then got double fired or triple fired, I would be dead. The Graf Zeppelin, though, is playing incredibly aggressively. I didn't really understand what he was doing here. Maybe he was a secondary spec, but either way, he's going to be a pretty easy kill for our team. He did actually do quite well in the game, though. 2 kills. Just positioned poorly in the end game. His dive bombers are going to try to make a drop, but it's just 1 and it misses, so no harm. And now the Des Moines is going to try to push around the island to put some pressure on me. Khosrow is retreating, which makes perfect sense because he doesn't want to fight 2 battleships in a Des Moines. But as you can see, the Des Moines doesn't want to let him get away. I take a shot here. The Des Moines got enough of island cover to prevent me aiming at the waterline, but I still managed to do a huge amount of penetration damage here. And there's my high caliber at 173,000 damage. As you can see, I'm staying angled religiously towards the 2 battleships because those are the ships that can kill me quickly. And I'm also well enough angled that the Des Moines AP is only doing a few thousand damage every salvo, which I can take. I do about 9,000 damage, no citadel still, but that's not too big a deal because he will probably die in the next salvo if I get some supporting fire from the Amagi. He sets me on fire, but a single fire is not at all a threat to me. He gets behind the island here, so I have to switch targets while I wait for him to become available again. And the Conqueror is making himself an incredibly easy target. I think British battleships think because they have a lowered citadel, they're immune to big hits or something. But when you can see that red paint on the side of a ship, you've got a very good chance of citadeling. Even British battleships can be citadeled. Now I put my heal here. This is my final heal, so I'm just minimizing fire damage at this point. And at 4,000 health, even a single pen is enough to kill Des Moines. So this is a pretty obvious kill. I also picked up a Confederate and a Kraken Unleashed when I killed the Conqueror. There's my 6th kill. And at this point, I guess I said for style reasons, I would prefer to just go for Haram. So I don't actually shoot the Alabama. I've got enough health to tank him while angled. And going in for a gunfight is somewhat risky. He takes a shot at the Amagi, which makes perfect sense. He's trying to pad his damage as much as possible. And then I ran for the 7th kill, and that's the end of the game. So now looking at the endgame results, you can see I picked up a fairly large number of achievements: Confederate, Kraken, First Blood, High Caliber, and a Dev Strike. If I hadn't rammed that Alabama at the end, I probably could have picked up a Fireproof and a Dreadnought as well. If we go over to the team results, we're going to see that I was in first place with about 2,944 base experience. The Alabama on the enemy team did extremely well as well, though. And then finally in the detailed report, which is probably where all the interesting information is, you can see I tanked 2.6 million potential damage, which is excellent for a high tier battleship. And I also tanked 177,000 damage, which is pretty close to the maximum that Montana can take. And so, in my opinion, this game I showed you how to play the role of a battleship while taking controlled amounts of damage perfectly, and also dealing a significant amount of damage to enemy cruisers and battleships. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll probably do more videos like this in the future. Probably hopefully some destroyer videos and maybe a Des Moines replay. See you later.